All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank you guys all for joining us today for our last webinar of the year. It's hard to believe that we're already there, but we are in the final stretch. So now is the time that we want to make sure that we are double checking the information that you have in the dashboard. You want to make sure that is correct. You can update that information by logging in the dashboard, going to the registration to-dos, and then clicking through each item and just making sure that all the information that is in there is correct. If needed, you can make changes and just hit save and complete, and it's good to go. Keep in mind that we have, if you're changing things like your mailing address, you may want to reach out to your liaison and let them know, as we have already started shipping some of the flags out. We want to make sure if that we have the wrong one on file, that we go ahead and address that. For location coordinators, we want to strongly encourage you to go ahead and check your veterans grave count, your shipping addresses, and the ceremony addresses to help ensure that everything runs smoothly. The last day for making changes to your veterans grave count and your shipping addresses is November 15th. After that, we cannot guarantee that it will get updated in all the places that it needs to. And you might run into some issues when it comes time for shipping, if it's going to the different address or getting the wrong amount. So now's the time, go ahead, log in, check that information, make sure that we're making sure everything is correct. And don't forget your Wreathometer. It's a great tool to use to share with your community to show how close you are to meeting your goal. And we will talk about that in just a second, how you can update that Wreathometer goal. So to make the most of your Wreathometer, by making sure that your goal is set so that it turns green as the wreaths are sponsored, and as you can see there on the page where it's starting to color in green, that shows you how close you are to your goal. If your Wreathometer shows fully colored because your goal has already been met, but you're still actively fundraising, it's a good idea to increase your goal so that, or if you're, way far away from your goal, you can lower it. So that way you're in a place where you're going to be able to reach it and you're able to inspire the community with it. A lot of people have found that it's helpful to share an image of that Wreathometer on social media pages, along with the link to your page so that people can donate. Everyone loves to say, if you're like, hey, we're 20 wreaths away from reaching our goal, people like to kind of come in at the last minute and try to help with that. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage of that. For sponsorship groups, your sponsorship goal is linked to the Wreathometer on your group page, which turns green as the wreaths are sponsored through your group. Your goal can be updated at any time by going to your registration to-dos and then set your wreath sponsorship goal. Once you hit save, you're all set. The sponsorship goal on your page has nothing to do with the location pages, so you can change that as you want throughout the year. Just keep in mind that wreaths are not set aside for individuals or groups unless placed online as a grade specific request or manually added as a grade specific to the grade specific report on the dashboard. So if you have questions about your group placing wreaths that you have specifically sponsored, always make sure you reach out to your location coordinator for the location you support and seeing how they handle groups for Wreath Day. For locations, it's important to note that your sponsorship goal does not determine how many wreaths are shipped to your location. We will always ship wreaths you have sponsored up to the veterans grave count unless you've made a special arrangement for more or less than your veterans grave count. We ship based on the veterans grave count, and it's important that you provide us with that accurate count or the maximum number of sponsored wreaths, which is that more or less than. Extras will be credited to your location for the following year or to another location, whichever you have chosen when you set up. To update your veterans grave count, you'll do that in the veterans interred section of your registration to-dos within your dashboard. Or if you need to make a special arrangement, you can also do that in the same place. And that's where you can select a special arrangement. And you can see on that screen there where it says special arrangement. When you check that, your liaison is going to reach out to you to see what that number would be. And that is where if you need to make that either more or less than the veterans grade count that we have on file. Your sponsorship goal, which is just down below it, that's where you would edit that as well for your location page. Your sponsorship goal does not affect what is shipped. So when we're sending you these emails saying to confirm the information that we have on file, or this is the number we have for your veterans grade count, we know that happens a lot. People will say, oh, I went out and updated it, and we go and look and the sponsorship goal was updated, but not the veterans grade count itself. So we always just going to say this, 100 times, make sure that you update your veterans grade count. But you also want to update your sponsorship goal in order for your Wreath-ometer to continue to be where you want it to be. A page alert is a great tool to share important information regarding your Wreath placement ceremony. It's the box that pops up when someone visits your page if you have it turned on. To create a page alert, give us 1 second to figure out where the background noise is coming from.
Box is popping up. It could be her. Could be her.
All right, we're gonna try this again. So to create a page alert, simply log into your dashboard and then under the Manage tab at the top, select Page Alerts. You're going to click the black plus sign to add a new page alert. You're going to fill out the title, the text, and the time and description, and then just select the date that you want it to show. If you're planning ahead, you can go ahead and pick, like you say, you want the page alert to show up right after Wreath Day for your cleanup and stuff. You would just go ahead and set the date forward for that. If it's something that you want to show immediately, you will need to just backdate the day by 1 day. So if I want it to show up on December 14th, I'm going to go ahead and put in, and it's December 14th, then I'm going to put it for December 13th. And that's just because our system, there's a little bit of a time delay on that. So that's the trick to get that to show right away. Then just click save and you're all set. You can have multiple page alerts, so you can have them scheduled out to populate and then expire, and then the next one would populate. And it's just that box that pops up right when you go to your location or group page. And it's a great way to share Wreath Day plans, letting people know if registration is required, where parking is, where they should go upon arrival. And for fundraising groups, it's a great place to put fundraising events that are coming up, where you're going to be at on the weekend where you've got an event going on. And if you run into any issues with any page alerts, as always, you can reach out to your liaisons and they're happy to help. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about the Wreath count report. And I know that we've gone over the Wreath count report a lot, especially if you were on last month's webinar and probably the month before that too, and some of our regular emails. But it's that time of year, and we want to make sure that everyone knows how to check their Wreath counts and where they can access those at. So your Wreath count report is the quickest and easiest way to track orders. You can find that by logging into your dashboard, just clicking on Manage and then clicking on Reporting. During the months of November and December, if you're wondering if an envelope of orders you have mailed in has been received at HQ, you can check by clicking on the tab at the bottom of the report that says Mailed Wreaths Being Processed. When those orders are finalized, they will move that to the tab that says Details with a full breakdown of information about that order. And you'll see that the mailed in process being used more as we get busier throughout the next couple weeks as we start processing big batches that are coming in. But as of right now, everything's kind of being processed as it's received, so you may not see that. For more detailed instructions on managing your dashboard and understanding your Wreath count report, you can go to our volunteer resource page, and under the volunteer tutorials, we do have a dashboard step-by-step tutorial that you can download, and it goes into more details of how you can see that count throughout and how you can download reports. So we're very excited to announce that once again, we were able to extend the cutoff date to include Giving Tuesday. The cutoff date is now Tuesday, November 29th. And we have shared that a few times, but again, we just want to make sure that we are reiterating all this so that no one misses anything that's important. So what does the cutoff date mean? The cutoff date is the last day that we can guarantee delivery for Wreaths for this year, but you can and should continue to fundraise as Wreath counts, as every Wreath counts, and we can often still get those wreaths that come in after the cutoff date on the truck for delivery for this year. We just aren't going to guarantee it because it's moving so fast at that point. Any orders that are received after the cutoff date and that are not delivered this year will get added as a carryover credit for your location for next year. Kickstarting your Wreath count for 2023. Keep in mind, you can fundraise all year long, and we do encourage you to do so. So just because we have a cutoff date doesn't mean you want to stop and say that we're done for the year. You want to just keep that momentum going and always keep that open for people. To allow you to take advantage of the holiday weekend and fundraise right through cutoff date, we will email you a cutoff form, just like we have, in years past. The cutoff form will be emailed to you on Friday after Thanksgiving. The cutoff form works similar to an IOU, which lets us know of funds that you have in hand so that they can be included in the location shipment for this year. Once you receive the cutoff form from your regional liaison, please wait to complete it until the actual cutoff date. So that way you can capture all the remaining funds on one form rather than having to submit multiple forms because you've gotten more wreaths in every day. When you receive the email with a cutoff form, it will include step-by-step instructions for how to fill the form out and what should be included. For instance, you don't want to include any cutoff form. You don't want to submit a cutoff form for any funds that are online. Any online donations come right into our system. So that's a great way to continue pushing that online page, even through the cutoff date and after, because they're going to go ahead and be in the system. And make sure that you are sending your checks in regularly right now over the next couple weeks, especially because the faster we can get them in, the faster we can process them and avoid any delays in that shipping. So in order to help us improve the cutoff form process and to make it a little bit more efficient for us for processing, we have updated the cutoff form for this year. I wanted to walk you guys through a few of the changes and things that might be confusing, just so that everyone is prepared and kind of knows what to expect when it comes time for it. So sometimes mail, is slower than expected, and we haven't received your mailed funds in by cutoff. Don't worry, we've got you covered. We can use the cutoff form for funds that have been mailed in but not yet received. You're going to go ahead and submit a cutoff form for those funds that you've mailed but that we have not received and processed at headquarters yet. The form will ask you if the funds you are submitting on the cutoff form have already been mailed to HQ but not yet received. This means that you've checked your dashboard and that Wreath count report that we just talked about. You've made sure that the funds that you mailed in have not been received. They're not showing in there under the mailed in processed. They're not showing in a Wreath count report. And if you have, if you're unsure of, having trouble reading that report and you're unsure of whether it's been received, reach out to your liaison. We can help confirm if we have that yet or not. You will be asked then to provide it with a date that you mailed the funds in. It's important to fill this out as accurately as possible so that we can match up the funds received with the cutoff form. If you don't know the exact date, a small date range is fine. Just try to be as precise as possible. Just think we have the way that it has to match up. We have people who are mailing in funds, especially the ones that aren't coming in with a copy of the cutoff form. People are mailing in batches and they're still sending us forms saying, I've sent in 6 checks for this number of dollars, and I mailed it on November 10th, and we get a batch of checks in that's maybe 1 check more, maybe it's $1 off, maybe it's a different date. Now we're, finance is saying, well, is this the same batch or is this a different batch? And so now they've had to call, we have to verify because we don't want to overship, we don't want to undership. And this is what slows down the process and why it always takes, more time for us to get those cutoff forms process, get paybacks, sent out to you guys. So all of these changes that we're making around this cutoff form is to help us streamline that a little bit more. So if you do think, okay, you guys are being a little bit stricter than we were before, that's why. Help us help you. We want to, make things quicker for you guys to get your paybacks, to get your final numbers. So we just have to make sure that everything matches up so that it's easier to pull it all together so that we can process it a little bit faster for you. So it's, crucial. Just want to fill out all that information as accurately as possible to help us all work together on that. If you have funds in hand that you have not mailed in yet, you will just submit a separate cutoff. You will need to submit a separate cutoff form for them, for those funds, from the ones that you have that you've already mailed in that have not been received yet. So in the years past, we've kind of said, no, don't submit, all these different forms, try to submit just one. This year, we do want you to hold as you're doing your fundraising. We want you to do all your fundraising up till cutoff and submit one form for those funds you have in hand. But you are able to submit separate cutoff forms for things like you had a separate batch that you mailed in. And for other locations, which we'll get to in just a minute here. So something else new for this year for the cutoff form is that we will require you to submit a separate form for each location if the funds are for multiple locations. Like I was just talking about, we just want to make sure that everything is matching up as best as possible. So the form is going to ask you, are these cutoff funds all going to one location? If you answer no, you'll be instructed to fill out a separate form for each location. And to make it as easy as possible, when you get to the end of the form, filling it out as you would for one location, it's going to bring you to the last page that says thanks for your submission. And there is a button right there where you can just click it to submit another form. So you don't have to go back out, find another link. You're just going to be able to click submit another form, or something along those lines that button says, but you'll be able, it'll take you right back to the beginning and you can fill out another form. So what do you do if you have a check that is split between locations? You will only enter the dollar amount for the portion of that check that is for that specific location you're filling out the form for. So you will, you have a check for $30 that's split between 2 locations. You're going to submit one form for the $15 for this location, and then you're going to submit another form, $15 for this location. And that is just so that we know exactly how to apply all of the wreaths to which location so that we can get them out, get them in a timely manner so there's no issues with delivery. If you are only submitting funds for one location, you simply check yes, and you're going to continue on to the next location, which is the next question, which is your location ID. And for those of you that have more than one group, you'll also just need to submit a separate form for each group that you have. So another thing that we've added this year to help us ensure that the group and location IDs are entered accurately and that we don't have any mixed up or combined, doubled up on, we have pre-populated the cutoff form with your location and group IDs. This way, you'll just have to select your group or location ID from the drop-down list. Once you start typing, because I know it seems like that's a really long list that you're going to have to go down through, but right in that box where it says type or select an option, once you start typing your ID in, it will start filtering down the list so that you can just click that right from that drop down list. And always make sure that you double check that you have selected the correct ID. When you get your confirmation email afterwards, I would check it again. You want to make sure that you've selected the right group and the right location ID, because that will affect the delivery of your wreath if you've put the wrong location in there. When you get to the form where you will see the group plan, when you get to this part of the form, you're going to see the group plan here, where you can see on some of these, it says $5 back and 3 for 2. This will be displayed next to your group ID, which allows us to calculate the wreath count for you based on the dollar amount. So there's no more asking, do I have to include the 3 for 2 rate? And how do I figure out that 3 for 2 rate? And all those kind of things. Kind of took out that piece for you guys to make it a little bit easier. So all you have to do is enter the dollar amount. So next, when you get to the dollar amount, this is for this form you are submitting only. So again, you want to make sure that you're not entering the amount that you've received over the entire year. You're not entering an amount that you've received that you're submitting on another form. This is only for this form, for this group, for this location that you're submitting this for. And if you have a check that's split up, like we talked about, if it's split up between locations, if it's split up between groups, that's fine. That's going to be reflected on the tally sheet that's required as well. So just split it out here, and then you can still mail all these together. If you fill out, 3 or 4 cutoff forms with the batches, I would recommend obviously saving some postage and mailing them all together, so it's not going to, if you have that check split up, it's all going to be there. They're going to be able to make sense of it all, but having these separated out is going to allow us to again just better be able to calculate those wreath counts for you guys for faster delivery and processing. So don't forget to fill out to include your decimal on these. So this is just a text form filled that you're going to fill that out. So make sure you check to put your decimal in the correct spot so that we don't over or under ship you guys. And then this year, any funds that are submitted on a cutoff form that are not sent in to cover wreaths that are shipped will be just deducted from the next batch of wreaths you send in next year. Now I know all of you guys are great about sending in your funds and you're going to get those right in. We just want to make sure that we are letting you know if we do ship wreaths out and we do not receive those funds, we will send you an email saying like, hey, just following up, we haven't received this yet. And it may be that the checks got lost in the mail and we just need to figure out what happened. But they would come off of that next batch of wreaths, the first batch of wreaths sent in 2023 to help cover those. So the last thing that I want to talk about for the cutoff form for this year is the tally sheet. So this year, for those of you who got the webinar email reminder, you'll see in there where we are requiring a tally sheet to be submitted with every cutoff form submission. This is to help ensure that the cutoff forms are only completed for funds that you have in hand. And again, it will help us speed up that processing time of those cutoff forms. We will require you to upload an image of the tally sheet that you're mailing with the cutoff forms that matches the information on the cutoff form you're submitting. So you can upload that tally sheet as a picture, as a PDF, as a document, as an Excel, however you guys are already utilizing them on your own end. If you just print them off and you're, handwriting them, it can be as simple as taking a picture with a cell phone and just dropping it right in there. And by the way, this cutoff form works really well on mobile devices, a lot better than some of our other ones did. So it'll be super easy for you to just fill it out right from your cell phone. And if you have that picture in your cell phone, you can just add it right there. So after uploading your tally sheet, you're going to click submit to finalize your cutoff form. You will receive an emailed confirmation of the cutoff form. You will print it off and include it in the envelope with the tally sheet and the cutoff funds. Also, I always keep a copy for yourself in case they're lost in the mail. And then next, you just want to make sure you mail those out no later than December 6th so that we get those, we can process them, and we can get everyone's final payback checks out to them in a timely manner. To guarantee delivery of the wreaths for this year, the cutoff form must be submitted by 11:59 Eastern Standard Time on November 29th. All the information must be filled out. But if there is anything you have a question on, or just reach out to your regional liaison for assistance and we can walk you through that. I know that there might be some questions on this because a lot of this is new. Again, we will have, when we send out that cutoff form, we will have step-by-step instructions on it. And the big thing is, as we said in the email that went out today, we want to make sure over the next couple weeks when you send in funds, I would go ahead, if you're not used to using a tally sheet with those funds, go ahead and start using a tally sheet when you send those in. And it's just going to make it easier. You keep a copy of it for yourself. So that way, if it's not received by HQ at the time of cutoff and you want to go ahead and submit a cutoff form for them, you've already got that tally sheet copy on hand. So it's going to make it just that much easier for us to, again, be able to still make sure you get credit for those wreaths for this year so that they're shipped for this year. And we're still going to be able to match all this stuff up and get it processed in a timely manner. So in the 2 weeks leading up to Wreath Day, there's so much excitement in the air. And at headquarters, we're all working, around the clock to make sure all the last minute orders are added to your wreath counts and that all of your deliveries make it in time for Wreath Day. We will communicate with you regularly so that you know what to expect. But if you have any questions, you should contact your regional liaison. Keep in mind, as liaisons are busy, we ask that you do allow 24 to 48 business hours for a reply. Also, for those of you now, we do have, multiple liaisons in each region. Try to, when you email one liaison, give them an opportunity to reply before you immediately email the other liaison. Because what happens is if you're emailing both of them, then they're both going to reply, and that's taking you away from when one of them could have been helping answer someone else. We do also have those regional emails, Region 1, Region 2, Region 3, Region 4, Region 5 at wreathsacrossamerica.org. There's one for each one that you can email. That's going to reach both liaisons in that region do have access to those. So that's a great way to, if you're looking for a quick response rather than emailing just one, you can email that regional email. And at the end of the slides, we will have a page that has those emails up for those of you who may not have those on file. So some things to keep an eye on during the 2 weeks before Wreath Day is if your location accepts gray specific requests, you want to finalize your help for placing those wreaths. Download the gray specific report for your location from your dashboard and provide each volunteer with their list of gray specific wreaths to place and instructions for doing so. Make sure you're communicating with people who are going to be placing themselves so that they know where to meet to show up to get the wreath where they would be placing it the day of. And while it's not required to photograph each gray specific wreath that's placed by a volunteer, it is a wonderful way to share with the sponsor that their request was honored. And we now have a super easy way that you can email those right from the gray specific report if you want to utilize that tool. It's just another option for you. Excuse me. Watch for emails from your regional liaison with important information about delivery of your wreaths, including the total number of wreaths that you will be receiving and how those wreaths will be delivered. If you're expecting more or less than what you see indicated on those emails, contact your liaison right away. If you don't already have your ceremonial flags 2 weeks out from Wreath Day, that is the time to contact us so that we can reship to them to you in time for Wreath Day. Please do not wait for the day before Wreath Day to ask us that you haven't got your flags yet, because at that point, there's not a lot I can do to help you. But we have already started shipping those flags out. Some of you probably have actually already gotten some, or you may have received your email saying that they were on their way. If not, don't worry. We've started obviously with the furthest locations away. So Region 5 and Region 1 have not yet. We're just starting to pull the labels for those. Excuse me for just a second. It's that time of year where, all the kids are sharing germs at school and they bring them home to mom and dad to keep things interesting. So for wreaths, they will be delivered anytime in the 2 weeks leading up to Wreath Day. We do rely on donated trucking to deliver the wreaths, and so we kind of will have to work around their schedule to prevent any delays. It's important to just be ready to receive that delivery. It's a good idea to prepare a calling tree of volunteers that can be ready to help offload the truck upon arrival. When your delivery arrives, it's very important that you count each box as it's offloaded and only take what is indicated on the bill of lading. You sure to alert us immediately if there's any discrepancies, and never take more than what's allotted for you, as it may leave another delivery on that truck short. There may be another truck that's coming, there may be something that we were already aware of. So again, if you count them as they're unloading them. If the truck driver is willing to wait a minute, go ahead and contact your liaison, call the office, get a hold of somebody, so that we can figure out what's going on. But please don't just take more than what is on that bill of lading for your truck, because then again, it's going to leave someone else short down the line. And then if you've ever been the last stop on a truck and you've probably been short a couple wreaths, because that's what happens. Someone takes an extra box here, someone takes an extra box there, and then the person at the end is now short, half their wreaths, or they have, no wreaths. And we definitely don't want to do that, because we're all here working for the same cause. So something else you want to make sure you're doing is make sure that you're reaching out to the cemetery staff to share your plans for Wreath Day, and ask if there's anything else that you should include or any specific instructions that they would like to see happen. They may or may not want to be involved in Wreath Day, but either way, it's important to communicate with them so that they know what to expect. And always remember that we are their guests, so we need to remember to treat them with respect and follow any special requests that they have. Watch your emails for incoming questions from the general public during this time, and try to respond in a timely manner. You may consider adding a page alert to your location page. Page alert we talked about earlier, the box that pops up right when they go to your page. You can add, if you're getting a lot of questions of people asking the same thing about your ceremony, this is a great opportunity to add that page alert to your location page with specific information about your ceremony to help minimize some of those questions. And then it seems crazy that we're already talking about after Wreath Day, but that's how close we are. So after Wreath Day, you want to make sure, first of all, you take time to reflect on the good that happened in your community, to make the wreath laying ceremony such a success. This is the time that you want to make sure that you're sharing stories and pictures with us, issuing press releases, and commending those who helped. If someone in your community went above and beyond to make your event special, we'd love to hear your story, and help you recognize their efforts. You can send those photos to or email them to us at pr@wreathsacrossamerica.org. Or if you're interested in being featured on Wreaths Across America Radio, you can email the radio email at waaradio@wreathsacrossamerica.org. If you have any questions or concerns that need to be addressed, contact your liaison right away after the ceremony. There's no need to wait until later in the next year to give us a break or anything like that. We want to know right away so that we can go ahead and address it for the next year. Also, it's a good time to make sure that you're reaching out to your community to gather help for the cleanup of the wreaths. Go ahead and plan a date put that date on your page alert and share it with you with them on Wreath Day so that they know when to come back to help clean up the wreaths. Your regional liaisons will contact you to reinstate your location and groups at the beginning of the year, and reinstatement is required each year to stay active. And then I'm going to double up on that a little bit just to say, we hope that, again, you will join us again next year and stay actively involved as a volunteer location coordinator and group leader. As always, to remain active, as I just said, each year you must reinstate. It's a very quick and easy process. Once you're, set up, the reinstatement part, a lot easier than having to actually sign up because it is a lot less paperwork that we require from you guys. We will send that out. You can expect to see those towards the end of January. So just watch for them and respond as quickly as you can so we can get rolling for next year. And now I'm going to put this on. Here is our map that has those regional emails on there. I would go ahead and just write them down for your region. Again, that's a great way to just reach both of your liaisons as quickly as possible. To try to get a hold of us a little bit quicker during season. And we will go ahead and open it up for some questions. We had no questions today. Everyone is just ready to go. Here we go. Debbie, you can go ahead.
Hi, so we're
Debbie?
new and we picked a location from the list that's like close to us.
Mhm.
How do we find out who the group leader is for that location so we can help?
Well, you can go right to the location page, which if you go to your group page, your Group Wreaths Across America page, you scroll down to the bottom, it's going to say locations we support. It's going to show you the page. You can click on it. It's going to tell you can click on there's a contact button. You can choose to email them, or you can reach out to your liaison and they can provide you with a phone number if you'd like to give them a call.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, this
Diana?
is Sandra. Hello?
Hi, yeah, Diana, go ahead.
Okay, I have two questions. How many wreaths are actually in a box?
9 wreaths.
9. Okay.
Mhm. If you
And,
get one that doesn't have 9, take a picture and let us know.
okay, and what determines if it's going to be on an 18-wheeler or like a FedEx or whatever else? What determines that?
So typically it's going to go based off of size. So anywhere if you have 50 wreaths or less, you can kind of count on that being FedEx or UPS. However,
Okay.
other things do play in if you're across the street from a larger location, we're probably going to just put it on a truck because it makes logistical sense at that point. We will have some information within the next week or so. We'll have a little bit more information of kind of an idea of how those are coming. But that's kind of the basis there. 50 graves and under, you can kind of plan on them being UPS or FedEx.
We're going to have 400 plus, somewhere between.
Yeah, you're going to be on a truck.
It's going to be on an 18-wheeler, isn't it? That's what I was.
Unless you are way out like in the middle of nowhere and miles and miles away from anyone else, we just cannot get a truck to you. That is the only way I'm not going to get it on a truck.
You can get the 18-wheeler to me, and I actually picked a location to unload so we can store. But I was just kind of wondering if this is going to be an 18-wheeler or not.
Yeah,
So
I